Imagine for a moment that you own a 20-year-old Rover car. It's an old banger, the paint is scratched, it makes weird noises, and it actually only starts every 5th attempt of turning it on. The valuation of the car is probably about 30 quid. And then your friend comes up to you and says, "Hey, can I have a drive in your car?" No doubt you wouldn't be too hesitant to let them have a go. What have you got to lose? Here's the keys. But I want you to imagine now that you don't own a 20-year-old banger, you actually own a £300,000 Ferrari. It's state-of-the-art, nicely polished, looks beautiful, can go from 0 to 60 in about 2.9 seconds. And your friend comes up to you and asks, "Hey, can I have a drive in your car?" I think this time you'd be slightly more hesitant. In fact, you might even be reluctant. No one else is getting the keys. This car is far too valuable. And you know, it's interesting that while our society places, in one sense, such a high view of our bodies, we buy loads of expensive cosmetics and beauty products and gym memberships. When it comes to sex, our society treats their bodies more like the 20-year-old Rover car than the state-of-the-art Ferrari. Hey, whoever wants to have a go with my body can tear away. This is in a very real sense how the Corinthians viewed their bodies. Yet as the Apostle Paul writes to them at the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 6, he says, "No, your body is seriously valuable. Don't give it away cheaply." Look what he says at the end of chapter 6, verses 18 to 20. He says, "Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexual immoral person sins against his own body. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price, so glorify God in your body." You might remember what we've been looking at in Paul's teaching at the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Paul's been warning these believers as to the dangers of sexual immorality. And so Paul already has given us 3 reasons as to why our bodies are important and they shouldn't be used for sexual immorality. The first reason you might remember in verse 12 and 13 is that our bodies were ultimately created for worship. The second reason in verse 14 was that our bodies will last forever. And then the third reason that we've just looked at yesterday was that ultimately our bodies belong to Christ, verse 15 to 17. And now Paul is going to give us the 4th reason as to why our bodies are valuable and important and shouldn't be used for sexual immorality. And the 4th reason the Apostle Paul gives is this: your body is sacred. Your body is sacred. You see, Paul says there's something unique about sexual sin. He describes it in verse 18 as being a sin against your own body. You see, there's more to sex than just a physical act, Paul says. And while our culture doesn't like to admit that, we all intuitively know that that is true. It's why, for example, something like rape is far more dangerous and damaging than any other form of physical abuse. Because we know that sex isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's psychological, and it's ultimately spiritual. That's because Paul says in verse 19, your body is literally a temple. You see, sex was created to mean something so much more than just a physical act. It was actually to unite people together in covenant relationship and to point people to the gospel. And as much as our culture would like to make it not appear the case, there is no way of deducting sex to a mere physical act. There's just a lot more that comes with it. And so here's your challenge for today. Your body is more like a Ferrari than a 20-year-old Rover. How does that affect your thinking about the importance of honouring God with your body? And in addition, in what ways is culture lying to you about sex? Ask God to give you a fresh biblical vision for what sex is and what it was created for. Hope you have a great day.